Content warnings for this video are going to include the mention of potential domestic violence, also referred to as DV, and manipulation. Most people who click on this video will probably already know most of the situation, if not all of it. Let's be completely serious right here. But let me break down key points for any people that are popping in that might not know anything about this topic or community and just want to listen to me yap for some reason. Gorlworld, that's Girl World, but spelled with an O instead of an I, is a niche community online that focuses on discussing women they seem to deem are lol cows. Specifically, Gorlworld centers around two morbidly obese women, Amberlynn Reid and Chantel, aka Foodie Beauty. Occasionally, people will stack other women into this community, like Anna from Glitter and Lasers, Quirky Love Rosie, and Shani for Christ, although I don't personally think that Anna is a lolcow, but you are welcome to disagree with me on that. The key feature of Gorlworld is that most people a part of the community do not watch the content the girls themselves produce, and instead watch and engage with content produced by reaction channels, who are the ones who will watch the original content and then put commentary over it. A lot of the drama that the girls get in tends to come from their back and forth engagement with reaction channels. Obviously, it's not all of the drama that they get into, but it's a significant portion of it that I feel the need to mention it. It's an odd symbiotic relationship for sure, but for better or worse, both the lolcow and the reactor benefit from this back and forth, and then they drive views to each other. And of course, more views equals more money, so it's kind of a win-win situation for both of them. Cow tipping, or touching the poo, as a lot of people in Gorlworld will refer to it as, is the action of inserting yourself within the real-world lives of the lolcows in order to spark some sort of reaction from them. Infamous examples of cow tipping have been like the pickle soup man in Chris Chan's life, or the time that French fry girl tricked Chantel into giving her cat to FFG's family. Cow tipping is generally kind of heavily frowned upon by the more decent individuals observing lolcow shenanigans, since most lolcows will tend to cause their own issues without any third-party interference eventually. There is, after all, a big key difference in watching a train wreck and being unable to look away, versus being the conductor purposely putting someone in danger for the sake of their own amusement, you know? Next in this incredibly long pretense to the actual video is kind of the summary of what's been going on with Amberlynn Reid. Sometime last year, she got a new girlfriend named Emily, who was nicknamed Tommy in Amberlynn's vlogs. It was found out by internet sleuths in a rather terrifying speed that Tommy had a feeder fetish, and people became concerned with Amberlynn's safety, since it seemed that Emily's previous girlfriend had died shortly before she got with Amberlynn due to what people believe to be obesity-related causes. For legal reasons, I'm also going to state that we do not have any definitive kind of proof that Emily was in any way responsible for her previous girlfriend's death. We don't know Emily in any personal sense, and we are not privy to the personal ongoings between her and her previous girlfriend. All we do know is that Emily had a variety of feeder fetish-related accounts on a variety of websites. For better or worse, Amberlynn and Emily have been having relationship troubles since they first got together, and have been on and off again for a while, with both parties alleging abuse from the other and airing their relationship woes online for the entire community to see. Emily, for one reason or another, begins to interact with reaction channels to spread her narrative around. Seeing that Emily was willing to share information that painted Amberlynn in a negative light, the channel Rachel Reacts reached out to Emily to get information about Amberlynn to make content about the downfall of the relationship, all the while claiming that it was for the sake of getting Emily's side of the story as a DV victim out to the public. Rachel then flew too close to the sun, you could say, and got herself into a bit of a scandal. I know that was an incredibly long intro to this video, so let's finally get into the real meat and cheese, shall we? Hey there, I'm here to interrupt your regularly scheduled entertainment. Again, I know that pretense was incredibly long, and it's mostly because I wanted to give the viewers who don't know anything about Gorlworld a chance to not be so confused. I probably didn't achieve that goal, so if you need to learn more, feel free to check out any number of reaction channels around. I've been in the trenches of Gorlworld as a rubbernecking bystander for quite a while now, occasionally leaving a comment here and there when I feel an obvious tidbit had been overlooked. I find it endlessly interesting when the center of the drama within Gorlworld isn't Amberlynn or Chantel, but instead a reactor making content about them. I think it goes to show that when you make a career out of gossiping about other people, eventually people will in turn gossip about you. This is the case outside of Gorlworld as well. The art commentary community at large for a long time was just about trying to expose each other for different shit. Sometimes it was petty nonsense that didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, and other times it was like horrific accusations of grooming and crimes against children, kinda causing a bit of whiplash, really. The scandals of Gorlworld can also vary in severity in a similar way, but I don't think it happens quite as often. Okay, let me try to get back onto the topic of the video. Rachel reacts in her situations, plural. Another key feature of Gorlworld is the speculation involved with the reactions and discussions of the locales involved. This is because a lot of people in the community view the vlogs and live stream shenanigans like a form of reality TV, and I feel this is why it's also kind of frowned upon in general to do any sort of cow tipping or touching the poo. Most people wouldn't want to see someone run into the middle of a football game and take a shit in the middle of the field, causing everyone to pause while they chase an ugly stranger around before resuming the show. While I know the viewpoint that Amberlynn and Chantel are providing a reality TV series is an odd way to describe what they're doing with vlogging and streaming their lives, which according to them is their like real lives. The point of viewing their content like reality TV is so that people don't really take what they say or do too seriously. It's obvious at this point that they just won't learn from their mistakes, so all we can do is just try to learn for ourselves from their mistakes. I also believe that both Amberlynn and Chantel kind of play up their personality flaws for the sake of their content to further perpetuate the notion of this being reality TV, because after all, it's their ridiculousness that's driving viewers to their channels, and views mean money. While Emily had been posting on and off publicly about issues she had with Amberlynn, I think the first reaction channel she reached out to was probably Mr. Snowflake, if I had to guess. At least that's how his videos seem to present the text exchange to me personally. After knowing that Emily would speak to reaction channels, she started exchanging messages with Rachel. I think Rachel reached out to her first, not the other way around, but I could be mistaken on that. Who knows? The way that Rachel tried to stand apart from the crowd as a unique reactor within the community was detailing how she was analyzing the behavior of the girls of Gorlworld using the knowledge and skill set she obtained while getting a philosophy degree. While I do think that she tended to sound a little more articulated than other reactors, personally, she didn't necessarily add anything super substantial to the community at large with that fancy degree. When I first started watching her, I was expecting her to go more in depth with her thoughts on the Gorls and their behavior using a philosophical kind of standpoint, but I feel all she really did was mention that she had the degree a lot.
She brings up her degree in philosophy to like support her reasoning as to why she likes when people disagree with her. And through my like researching this video and gathering all of the shit that happened, I came across like some compilations of her consistently bringing up her degree in philosophy.
Just to give you some background on me, if you've not seen my videos before, I have a philosophy degree, and my degree is literally how to not be convinced by crappy arguments. What Amber says here is objectively untrue. First of all, I have a first-class degree in philosophy, a large part of which is literally the study of how to think. My college timetable was double religious studies and then a philosophy class from 2 to 4 p.m, which I resented massively because I just wanted to go home and play GTA 5 with my boyfriend. Times have really changed. And I have it too, especially with my philosophy studies. What is good? How do we know if we're doing something good? My credentials for critiquing the series are 1 creative writing module during my philosophy degree. Being as I am a philosophy nerd and a Gorlworld connoisseur, self-declared, I wasn't going to mention that, but I'm a philosophy grad, so I feel like I kind of have to. But the point is, and I'm more agnostic slash, spiritual questioning, you could say. I'm a philosophy student, so when am I not questioning? During my time at university, I studied both formal and informal logic. I sometimes joke that I have a first-class degree in arguing because that is a lot of what philosophy is. I've said this a million times, but I'm a philosophy graduate.
I just think it's interesting in the context of Gorlworld, okay? When you are not actually analyzing Gorlworld and the things that are happening through the lens of whatever you're educated on, when you just bring it up as like a way to be like, well, I have a degree in philosophy, or I have a degree in psychology, like, and then you just start talking about gossip. I don't know. To me, there's a difference between using your degree to actually critically analyze something and to just bring it up to make it seem like you're smarter than everybody else. And that's kind of the vibe that I got. And as a university educated woman with a degree also, I just felt the need to put that in here. And I'm being petty for 1 minute. Thank you for humoring me.
I wish she did utilize the concept of the degree more in her content. I mean, talk smart to me, girly pop, please. Tell me why it's interesting instead of just saying,
She speaks to Emily in this video. My God, it is so telling. It's so interesting.
I liked her content well enough, and I would be remiss to say that I dislike it now because I really don't. I find her voice rather soothing, and she's just about on par with any other reactor I've watched over the course of the couple of years that I've been watching Gorlworld content. It's fine on a surface level. Where Rachel really faltered in her content, though, is that she felt the need to get proof of things discussed within the community instead of just speculating on things, even if she used manipulative tactics in order to gain the information that she deemed as proof. The first time that Rachel got in trouble, or what I believe to be the first time that Rachel got in trouble, was when she was given screenshots from a third party who Emily had confided in about issues regarding her relationship with Amberlynn.
On the morning of May 25th, 2025, I received this DM. Hello there, I have some tea for you. I typed out this entire message, then thought you wouldn't care, then I think maybe she will, so I'm just going to tell you, and if you want to participate, that's fine. If not, that's okay too. Redacted section, which has very personal details inside it. Anyway, I wanted to get her, Emily, to open up and spill the dirt, so I didn't want to share because I felt no reason to, but if she went back to ALR, then this info should be out there. That's the motivation and reasoning that A gave me. So of course I was interested. I asked A to send me whatever they have. I thought to myself, this is probably fake, but I'll have a good look through and see if there's anything worth making a video about. But it's not true that nobody wants to hear what you have to say or doesn't care what you have to say. I'm going to make this video showing you saying this, and I imagine you will see from the reaction, although I have no idea how this is going to be perceived. I really don't know. I'm a bit worried I'm going to regret making this, to be honest, but we'll just blow that bridge up when we get there because I think it needs to get out. I think Amber can't carry on doing this to people, so I don't know. But anyway, I think it's fair to say that what A was doing here was kind of trying to coax Emily into sharing things, which is partially why A doesn't want their messages shared, because they're worried that if they get worked out or somebody finds out who they are, they will then use what they've said to Emily against them or know loads of really personal stuff about them, and I understand that that could happen. So that's why I'm doing my best to hide everything I possibly can that could give you any idea who A is. If it is true, and Emily isn't lying, and this really did happen, then that is a whole conversation which needs to be had, right? If this is Emily coming out, well, not coming out, but if this is Emily saying there was a physical element to the relationship, the reason that matters to me, and the reason that I'm sharing it and platforming this and exposing these private DMs, which to be honest is not something I feel comfortable doing, but I think we have a duty in the Amberverse to know that this is true. However, again, if it is true and that did happen to Emily, it makes Emily a victim of DV, and it's Emily's own story to share. Clearly, Emily doesn't want to talk about it because she put that message on disappearing mode. If Emily wanted to talk about it, she would have shared her story, but I will say, in these DMs, we see Emily saying that she hasn't bothered sharing her story because she thinks nobody's going to want to listen to her. Well, Emily, that's not true. We do want to listen to you. So that's almost why I feel a bit more comfortable sharing this, because I feel like maybe Emily does want people to know. I could be wrong about that, so I don't know. I just think this needed to come out, and I don't know, I'm having like regret. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned this, maybe I shouldn't have made this video. I think it's going to be one of those where I just fucking post it anyway and see what happens.
Rachel concealed the identity of this person, although most people have a speculation on who this person is, and people took issue with Rachel making content using this information that she had received about Emily, since Emily had not consented for this information to be shared. While Rachel herself wasn't the one who manipulated Emily to get this information, it was still frowned upon that she would profit off of this information that Emily did not put out herself. As a means of apologizing for this behavior, Rachel donated the AdSense money of that video to a DV charity and privated the video.
She ultimately privated the video and made an apology on our community tab. She said, "Hi everyone, I've just privated my recent video. I realize this is very much too little too late. I got blinded by how badly I wanted everyone to know what Amber had allegedly done, which was stupid and misguided with hindsight. Thanks everyone for your constructive comments. The toothpaste is out of the tube now, and hiding the video is not an effective method of stopping the information getting shared, but you guys are right that I should have never posted it. Edited to add, for anyone who is worried about me profiting from this, I understand. I'll post receipts of me donating the AdSense to a DV charity. My YouTube analytics will update tonight and I'll share this soon.
Part of the current situation that Rachel finds herself in stems from gathering evidence of Amberlynn's bad behavior from Emily directly, with screenshots of text exchanges between Amberlynn and Emily, video clips, and voice notes. Similarly to the other situation, at least in my opinion, Amberlynn never consented for any of this information to be used in content, but people particularly didn't seem to be bothered by that since the information is being used to point out issues with Amberlynn's recount of events and behavior during her relationship with Emily. Although I don't think that Amberlynn is a good person by any means, I do see the point of her stating that it's kind of hypocritical to be upset over the third party giving Rachel screenshots without Emily's permission, but not having that same energy when Emily is giving out screenshots without Amberlynn's permission. The lack of these permissions isn't what actually sparked the scandal with Rachel's channel though. Instead, it seems that it was started because Rachel basically screwed Emily over. Originally, Rachel had made an agreement to split AdSense money with Emily on a video detailing the financial issues with her relationship with Amberlynn. Emily later asked if they could instead split the money on a different video, and Rachel agreed to that instead. After this agreement, though, Amberlynn started deleting videos in which she talks negatively about Emily and posted a statement to her community tab that, to me, read very much like, "I'm posting this so I don't get sued, actually." I believe that Emily got scared that her job was in jeopardy due to the narrative online that she was like a death feeder that led to her former girlfriend's death, especially after Amberlynn's Aunt Tammy had posted photos of Emily with her like nursing degree, like a graduation specific photo. Thus, Emily could have threatened a lawsuit in the event that Amberlynn or Aunt Tammy caused her to get fired in any sort of way. Amberlynn's behavior here, like deleting the videos and making that post, made Rachel believe that Emily and Amberlynn were still going back and forth over whatever squabbling they had been doing for the last few months, and she deduced that Emily was reaching out to reaction channels as a way to get back at Amberlynn for the way that she had treated Emily, playing mind games, as it's been put a few times, believing herself to be the one being manipulated to be a part of their fight. Rachel retracted her offer to give Emily money as an effort to kind of cut ties with Emily and wash her hands of the situation. She instead offered to donate Emily's portion to charity so it wouldn't seem like she was just keeping all of the money for herself. Emily, honestly justified in my opinion, gets angry that Rachel isn't going to fulfill her end of the agreement and threatens to expose Rachel for trying to go back against her word and retract her own consent to use the voice note in Rachel's video.
Emily, Rachel, I need to be very clear about how wrong this is. I shared my personal story and details with you under the agreement that I would be compensated. That was part of the understanding from the start, and you assured me multiple times that I would be. I also made it clear that without that agreement, it would not be worth it for me to share something so personal and painful. You went forward, used my story publicly, and then decided after the video was posted to take that agreement back. This is not acceptable. You shared private information about me under a false sense of trust and benefit. This is not about speculation or donations. It's about ethics and respect. You profited from my vulnerability, and now you're trying to frame it as something else. I'm asking you to take accountability and make this right. It is clear you're worried about how this will affect your image and reputation if someone found out you paid me. But what would actually look worse than agreeing to pay me and then backing out after the video was already posted, all while profiting off of it yourself? I'm not looking to make this public. I have kept everything private and respectful with you, but I have trusted you to handle this with honesty and integrity, and you have not. You promised compensation for my time and vulnerability, and you used my story publicly. You can still make this right, quietly and respectfully. Rachel, thank you so much for your response. I would like to note that I disagree with your characterization of the timing and nature of the agreement. Nevertheless, I appreciate you giving me an understanding of your viewpoint in the above message. Please grant me a period of time to think about this situation and decide which action is most suitable. As I have stated, my fear is that your motivations for getting me to make that video were to express a power play over Amberlynn, with whom I believe you are still in regular contact. I am not comfortable being a pawn in the mind games between the pair of you. nor am I comfortable financially compensating you for the same. I would be far more comfortable donating this money to a good cause. I see that this is not an acceptable option for you. Monies accrued in October 2025 are paid by YouTube in November, so there is no rush for a decision. Thank you for your patience. I will be back in contact in due course. Emily, I don't agree with that. What exactly do you mean by characterization of the timing and nature of the agreement? The agreement was made before the video was uploaded, and you confirmed that more than once. The video would not have gone live without that understanding. Bringing up your own accusations about my motivations or other people is irrelevant and dismissive. You're basing this off of rumors and no credible sources. You do not need more time to think about what is right. You made an agreement and you have an obligation. Rachel, while I understand that this decision will be disappointing to you, I can't in good faith pay you for the video where I shared your story because I heavily suspect that you had other motivations for speaking to me besides getting your story out as a DV victim. Feel I have been a pawn in a bigger game between you and Amber and that my good intentions have been somewhat used. In light of the recent developments, I know it would be a disappointment to my audience, and I can't be sure confirmation of any payment would end up getting back to Amber and then used against me. I am pleased we were able to show the proof to the audience, but I don't think it's appropriate for me to make a payment to you. Instead, I'll make a donation to a domestic violence charity. I have to safeguard my integrity with my audience. This is something I am not willing to risk. Thank you for understanding, and I wish you all the best. Emily, then I want the video taken down.
Trying to get ahead of this situation, Rachel publicly admits to the making and breaking of the deal that she had with Emily, thinking that it would help her not seem as bad if she admitted to the mistake herself instead of Emily posting about the broken deal as a form of blackmail.
When Rachel took the video down, she posted on her community tab and said, "Hi all, Emily has withdrawn consent for her voice to be used on my channel. To avoid any further issues or privacy concerns, I've privated my previous video. Many thanks for the continued support of my channel." So it's really interesting. That's really interesting because if you read that, then you're probably thinking, wow, like Tommy is going around and she is striking all these channels or putting in privacy complaints, whatever the verbiage language is there, and Rachel's just another victim of that. However, a few days later, Rachel comes out with a post of her own about the situation, stating that she would expose her own fuck up. She says, "Hey guys, I'm exposing my own fuck up below for transparency. Obviously, there was a fair bit of context which I left out of my last post after I privated my last video with Emily's voice note. Basically, Emily gave me the voice note, screenshots, and a clip, which I ended up not using. It was not the rage video. And I had consent to use them with no strings attached. Prior to this, Emily had told me some pretty damning information about Amber owing her lots of money for the trip they took where Emily drove Amber home. I wanted the receipts for this pretty bad, but I didn't think it was something Emily would be super keen on sharing. So I very stupidly offered Emily that if she was willing to give me these receipts, I would split the AdSense on that separate finance-related video with her. Later on, once the voice note video was well underway, Emily asked me if we could just split the AdSense from the voice note video instead of the finance one, as she felt it made no difference. I, again stupidly, said yes, thinking, well, we were going to split the finance video anyway, so it really makes no difference if we just split this one instead. It is essential to note that Emily had already given me consent to use the voice note prior to this rearrangement of which video would be split. She also never sent the finance receipts she had mentioned. She did not let me use the voice note because of any money. She had already said yes to this, and then the agreement was transferred. I then became very suspicious that Emily and Amber were talking again. Amber deleted her lives, posted that statement, and it was clear that Emily and Amber were not done with each other. I thought, despite her shitty character, that receipts coming from Emily were still valuable, and showing these did not mean I was defending her. However, it became clear to me that my good intentions were being taken for granted, that Emily did not just want to provide receipts, but in fact she viewed my videos as payback to Amber for their own personal dramas. I was not comfortable being used as a pawn in their wider game. I therefore decided that there was no way on this earth that I was going to pay this person to make me look like a mug. scumbag. I told her as much, told her I would happily donate this portion to charity instead so that I would not benefit from the decision. She got very angry, suddenly blamed my video for her being harassed, despite having been okay with it prior. She did not want the money to go to charity. She wanted to be paid. She tried to make it sound like she had not given me consent to use the voice note already. She had, and I can prove it. And she gave me an ultimatum to pay her or take my video down. I wasn't paying her, so I took the video down. It is now back up. I acknowledge that I was an absolute fucking idiot for offering her money under any circumstances, and that it was also wrong to do so and then change my mind afterwards. At the same time, there was absolutely no way that I could, in good faith to my audience, allow a single penny of the AdSense money from your viewership to go to Emily when it was clear that she was enjoying these weird mind games between herself and Amber, and viewed videos made by me as punishment to Amber. This was icky to me. I wanted the receipts. That was all. I was mad about Amber still owing Beck the inheritance money, and I wanted everyone to know that Amber had financially screwed over another ex. And therefore, I made an offer I shouldn't have made, and realized that it was a mistake too late. I understand if people are mad at me for this. The portion offered to Emily will instead go to charity. On or around November 26th, I will post the donation receipt here. Emily's response to this situation proved that my intuition was right. Her intention was never to get her story out as a DV victim, and I was wearing some serious rose gold glasses in pursuit of the receipts. Sorry for being a twat. I did get some interesting receipts though. Please see this Venmo below where Amber was blocked on all platforms, so sent Emily $1 because she wanted her to answer the phone at 1 a.m. Speak soon.
Her post, though, in my opinion, does not help make her look like the more correct or moral person in this situation. I can kind of understand the mindset of not wanting to give money to someone that you think might be a bad person, but by breaking the agreement, you turn into a horrifically manipulative asshole regardless of your intentions. Not only were you the one who originally offered to pay Emily, but I also have a hard time believing that you didn't already know that Amberlynn and Emily were going back and forth with trying to make each other pissed off. Why else would Emily be reaching out to reaction channels with information about Amberlynn instead of just posting it herself, for example? It's because Amberlynn notoriously doesn't like when her exes or people in her family talk to reaction channels. I also rolled my eyes a little bit when Rachel was reading her message to Emily saying that she felt Emily was taking advantage of her good intentions and felt like a pawn or something and like she was the one being manipulated. But wasn't that what you did? Rachel also points out in her post that Emily didn't give her the receipts that she originally offered to pay for, the ones involving Amberlynn owing Emily a lot of money. But she also didn't give any additional context for how long the two of them were sitting on this deal before changing of the agreement and breaking of the deal. Was it months worth of waiting for the receipts? Maybe Emily was waiting to get paid for the information before handing over, maybe? Which at this point, I wouldn't blame her if that was the case, because what was stopping you from just getting the information and then changing your mind over payments like you did here? By not delivering on this deal that you made with Emily and showing you are willing to manipulate the situation for information, you damaged your own reputation and chances of being able to fish for information from any other sources, including those within the lives of anyone in Gorlworld. Not that you should be doing that to begin with, really. It's not good journalistic integrity to just reach out to one side of a conflict of the argument. This stunt also hinders Rachel's ability in general to reach out to other content creators in the long run because it shows that you are willing to manipulate people just to get ahead. Good luck with future collabs, at least collabs in which you would have to post the video on your own channel. Another reactor, Hecticana, had actually attempted to defend Rachel's initial decision to pay Emily for information by citing that other creators of Gorlworld had made similar offers to talk to other people in Amberlynn's life, like her ex-girlfriend Jade.
This is exactly why we have the motto, "Don't touch the poo." I am disappointed that Rachel offered money and stuff, but I also understand it. If I were in that same situation and I was on the verge of getting all these receipts, all these texts from behind the scenes in the relationship between Emily and Amber, knowing it's going to be a huge video, it's going to make my channel blow up, because of course it is, I don't know that I would be able to say no either. Or I don't know that I wouldn't come up with the same idea to make sure I can keep getting receipts. That doesn't make it right, but I get it.
So I found his tone and his message very interesting in this video because the impression that I'm actually getting from him is that he knows he's been part of this Discord, so he's friends with Rachel. And Rachel is a much bigger channel. I don't know that that should matter, but I have a feeling that it does to Hector Kana, and it definitely seemed to for Studio Deets. But the vibe that I'm getting here is that he does actually disagree with it, what she did, but he also doesn't want to be seen to be bad-mouthing her. And I know Geordie, I know that he would sit there on his live stream and say, I've got tea and I may have paid for it. You know, he at least is upfront about his movements in that kind of realm. And the ankle clearly, and Alex's shock also clearly being up front about it. The difference being Rachel didn't tell her audience before or during the proceeding of paying Emily for tea. In fact, I think if things hadn't have gone sideways, we wouldn't have heard about it at all. She only put it up as a way to get ahead of the drama that was about to head her way because she saw the writing on the wall.
Where his misdirection of the blame fails, though, is that when the other creators have made these offers, they generally have made these offers publicly, and people believe that if it wasn't for Rachel having to post about her deal with Emily in order to avoid being blackmailed, she probably never would have admitted that she even made this deal to begin with.
Also, Emily would probably have never told anyone. She might have, but the stuff I know about her and the voice notes, etc. I have from her, she would have been very, very stupid to have told anyone about this. So she probably would never have. People are also forgetting I could have just paid her and it would also probably never have gotten out. People are also forgetting I could have just paid her and it would also probably never have gotten out.
While Rachel was busy dealing with damage control over the reveal that she was trying to pay Emily for dirt on Amberlynn, she was also in a private Discord server with other reaction channels, getting comforted over the situation and snarking about people that were upset with her. Believing that she was among friends, she made a few strange comments, tasteless jokes, and even shit-talked some other creators not among the group. Someone in that group took this behavior rather poorly and leaked some of Rachel's messages from the server to reactors not in that group. Whoever the original leaker was, they sent the messages to Charlie Gold's email, probably in part due to Rachel making very negative comments about Charlie in particular, and so she was among the first to report on the scandal as far as I've seen.
Last week, I received an interesting email. It was pretty short. A viewer who's familiar with my content wanted to share some information with me. I was just logging out of work and I was hungry. I read it. It didn't seem urgent. It didn't give any clues, so I carried on with my evening. The following day, I circled back to that email and decided to respond. What I didn't expect was a response that included screenshots and screen recordings of a small Discord that included some creators and viewers being messy.
At some point, Salty Crab was in the Discord server and apparently bounced before things got leaked, which makes me think that she knew shit was about to hit the fan. This could tie into the theory that she was the original leaker or was in contact with the person who ended up leaking everything, but it looks like she managed to escape most of the backlash unscathed, aside from some comments that I interpreted to be kind of vaguely threatening made by Rachel. With the leaks, people already upset with Rachel over the concept of her trying to pay Emily the Death Feeder for information. They further got upset with her for seeing how smug, cocky, and frankly rude and mean she was behind the scenes, even calling Charlie Gold a twat and saying that she couldn't stand the ankle's voice, among other things.
Rachel, I've always thought Charlie Gold is a twat. Rachel, I just watched Charlie's FFG video. Well, part of it. Dell. Rachel. She's so mid. Like, sorry, but her content is so mid. Dell. Ha. Oh, I knew I liked you. Rachel. She came for me, so I automatically dislike her. Dell. Oh? Rachel. But if I was making that swill, I'd hate me too. She made a video about the Emily shit and was like, maybe you shouldn't have done it. No shit, Sherlock. It hardly needed a video. Dell. Oh, I know she's jealous of the views. Rachel. It's been a good week. Not gonna lie. Hecticana, what if the Ankle, Jordy, Karina, and Snowflake have their own Discord? Traitors. Rachel, they don't. Haha. I can't stand Karina. Bye. Juniper, same. Rachel, it's not business, it's personal. JK, JK. But I don't like her. I can't stand the Ankle's voice. That one is also not personal. Jawbone, Jordy got blooded in and then left. Now throw shade. LOL. Hecticana, I just hate how much she clickbaits and then just goes on and on about nothing. Cass, popular idiot, obese to beast, also riding the Rachel train. Jay, this is why I'm watching Vintage Jimmy. Almost everything I was being offered was nonsense, so I thought I might as well opt for intentionally silly. Studio Deets, a 20-minute video could never actually cover what happened, which automatically means this is crap. Jawbone, I'm avoiding other people talking about Rachel at the moment. I feel too close to the case. Jay, what I will say is everyone is going to have a great Christmas thanks to Rachel. She best get lots of Christmas cards.
Sometime before the Discord leaks, people were in Rachel's comment section saying that instead of donating Emily's portion of the AdSense money to charity, she should instead consider giving the money to another one of Amberlynn's exes, Beck. According to Beck, during the time in which they were living together, Amberlynn had taken Beck's inheritance money and had withheld payments from their live stream participations, effectively costing Beck several thousands of dollars.
Despite that, and doing what I could to contribute by also being in the vlogs, when she knew full well that I didn't want to be, in order to earn the home I was living in her mind, she would also be sure to take away any money I'd get from other sources. I mentioned this before, but even being seen collecting change would trigger her to question whether I was saving up to leave her. When my mother passed away, me and my siblings received a portion of a settlement from my dad's job that ended up being around $5,000 to $6,000 for each of us. I was not allowed to keep it. She told me that the money had to go into paying the bills and my half of the rent. My mom had plans for when she would have received that money before she passed away. Getting it was bittersweet, and I would have liked to use it in some way to honor her. She wouldn't have wanted Amber to have it, and it really hurt, but she took it anyway. When I told her that I would like to do something with the money, she dismissed it and treated me like I owed it to her and it wasn't my choice. She said that I couldn't have it because the bills needed to be paid, even though I knew that she was making enough from YouTube to cover bills and rent with no problem.
This suggestion to donate to Beck was brought on because Emily herself had mentioned Beck within her admittance post about the money agreement she had made with Emily. Which I say it as like an admittance post because I wouldn't call it an apology, because I don't really feel like Rachel was apologizing for much of anything. Within the Discord leaks, Rachel discusses with the other reaction channels that she was unsure if she should be giving the money to Beck because it felt icky to her that she would use the money that she gained from telling the story of one victim to the other, saying that she didn't know if Beck would even want that money given the circumstances in which Rachel got it.
You can see a screenshot where I am saying giving the money to Beck doesn't feel right. I'm not sure what to do about it. If I give it to a charity, I can write it off on my taxes. And it's absolutely true. I did say that stuff. So when I made my community post, all those top comments were people saying, give the money to Beck, give the money to Beck. And I was like, that feels icky, because if I'm taking money that I got by sharing somebody else's DV story and then I give it to Beck, that just felt strange to me. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to fucking lie about that. At first, this is on the 23rd of October when I was having this conversation, I was like, is Beck even going to want that money? Is that going to make Beck feel uncomfortable? Do I actually want to give money from one ex to a different ex? It all just felt a bit icky.
I could see her point here, I guess, with not knowing if someone would object to receiving money from a dubious source due to their morals, but this, to me, is just admitting that you know that it was wrong to withhold that money from a supposed victim, especially since you made the agreement to give them the money in the first place, just because you personally didn't like the victim. I know that the Gorlworld community at large would probably be unhappy with Rachel giving that money to Emily, something she even admits in her post confessing to the situation, but as a Gorlworld creator, that was surely something that she would have known before making the deal to begin with. I'm beating a dead horse at this point, I know, but I really dislike it when people break deals like this especially like the way that Rachel did. Just because you fuck up and make your audience mad doesn't mean that you can just fix the situation with a charity donation. Also, doesn't that also make you feel icky donating money to a DV cause that you gained through manipulating someone that you thought was a DV survivor? Ah, right. Icky feelings go away when you write it off on your taxes.
Hecticana, so are you going to give the money to Beck? The comments were pretty overwhelming in favor of that. Rachel, I don't think so, to be honest. Feels wrong. I can't explain why, but I can see how it's a huge fuck you to them both. So I can see the appeal. I might do a poll and then blame it on that. I don't know. But the poll would be Beck, so I've got time to think on it. If I do charity, I can write it off on my taxes. Haha. Holly, I think that's the best, to be honest. Rachel, it feels cleaner. Jay, I didn't understand why people even suggested it until I reread the statement a second time. But both from an accounts and moral point of view, I think a charity with a registered charity number is best. Rachel, I don't know why. Yeah, I lean this way also. But there's something satisfying and petty about giving it to Beck. Haha. I'll think about it.
In the Discord leaks, when discussing how she felt uncomfortable giving the money to Beck, Rachel mentions that if she was to donate the money, she would be able to write it off on her taxes, which is just an overall odd thing to mention in general during this moral dilemma of what to do with the money that you got by manipulating someone. She also made comments that it would be funny to piss Amberlynn and Emily off by giving the money to Beck. So icky feelings go away when it's for taxes or comedy. Right, got it. Which Jawbone claims that the narrative of it being funny to piss Amberlynn and Emily off with giving the money to Beck was originally something spread in Rachel's comment section, not something that originated with Rachel herself. And even if this notion of pissing Amberlynn and Emily off was originally in the comment section, it doesn't help the case that the notion of being petty was more enticing than just helping someone. She also states that she was going to make a poll for the audience to choose where the money went to, and said that she would just blame the outcome on the audience, alluding to knowing that Beck would win the vote. As most people in the trenches of Gorlworld knows, Beck has been having horrific health complications for a while now, and has been in and out of the hospital for months at this point, going through numerous surgeries and having to deal with the looming threat of lung cancer. They have been suffering through all of this and have made numerous posts about needing donations so they could pay the medical expenses and living expenses since they're unable to work in any sense. Teasing the notion of helping someone severely in need of help isn't a funny, petty gotcha to their ex-girlfriend. Even if you didn't know that Beck was desperately in need of help, it's still not funny to give someone money just to piss someone else off, no matter how petty of a person you are. If you were worried about feeling uncomfortable for giving someone money you made off of another person's abuse story, you should also feel equally uncomfortable using someone to play petty games with, a notion you cited as the reason why you didn't want to give Emily the money to begin with. In the other situation, the one I mentioned towards the beginning of the video that Rachel got in trouble for, the one involving her receiving Emily's text with someone else without Emily's consent, she made an acknowledgement to her audience that she knew that they were disappointed in her for using the information that was gained through manipulative tactics, saying that she would learn from this mistake, but through the Discord leaks, we see that she took the wrong message from that previous blunder.
That's what Rachel did. She admitted in her Discord that she flirted with Tommy to try to get some receipts.
Rachel, she sent me a video of her smoking. Jay, that's weird. Jawbone, oh, that feels like her dipping her toe into video calling. Rachel, I flirted a little bit, not gonna lie. I wanted the tea. Jay, delicious cancer stick in an ashtray, mouth delicious. Rachel, it got a bit uncomfortable, not gonna lie. I'm a big old flirt, and she took the bait. But that's how I got the tea. So, Jawbone, it's okay to fancy Emily. Be honest with us. We listen and we don't judge. Rachel, I'll show you the smoking video tomorrow.
I wanted the tea. I run a Gorlworld YouTube channel, so getting receipts and proof about one of the girls is super, super valuable to me. It's valuable monetarily, obviously, because I make profit off the videos. All of that stuff is super valuable. My goal is to analyze the girls the best way I possibly can. So in order to do that, I want to see the proof, and I'm not going to lie about that. I absolutely do. And it is completely true that during my texting with Emily, I was much kinder to her than I might have otherwise been. I was much nicer. I was much more jokey. I sent some winky face. Actually, I don't even know if I sent winky faces, but I definitely was somewhat more amenable to her than I could have been, because I wanted her to feel comfortable with me and give me all of the proof, right? I don't think anybody is going to send somebody else like 150 screenshots, videos, various other stuff without you making them feel comfortable. So I describe that as flirting in the Discord, and I probably stand by that. I definitely did flirt with her a little bit. I don't give a fuck about that. I think flirting so that you can make more money is totally normal. People do it when they're bartenders, burlesque dancers, so many different professions. You'll be a bit nicer than you want to be to somebody because you're trying to get ahead in your career. This is one thing that I'm not gonna kind of recant on, because I think that flirting with somebody is literally no big deal.
In her video trying to address the leaks, Rachel says that she didn't think someone would just give out hundreds of screenshots without being comfortable with them, which I can kind of understand that point to a degree. When people are being interviewed, let's say, it's common for the interviewer to be very friendly with the person being questioned in order to have a better dialogue and repertoire with them. We see this all the time in news reporting and police interrogations. If you come across as rude or hostile towards someone, they're going to shut down and not want to give you the information that you're asking for. If this was just the case of someone conducting an interview and being very fake friendly, that probably would have been excused to a degree among the community, but that's not all that happened. According to Rachel herself, she admitted to flirting with Emily in order to get the desired outcome of their exchange. She doubles down on this behavior, citing that she didn't see a problem with flirting to get ahead, mentioning professions that typically engage with this kind of behavior, but the issue is that Rachel isn't any one of those professions. When you go into certain establishments, you kind of expect to be flirted with to a degree so that you can leave a larger tip to the person providing the service for you. Happens all the time at certain, restaurants, strip clubs, etc. What makes it weird that Rachel was flirting with Emily is that there isn't an expectation to be flirted with during an interview process with someone who claims they just want to help you tell your side of the story as a victim. I feel that Emily would have given her the receipts on Amberlynn's behavior even without the flirting with her because of the mind games Rachel thought that Emily was playing with Amberlynn to begin with. I wonder if Rachel thought that, Mr. Snowflake was flirting with Emily to get information from her as well, or did she think that she had to flirt with Emily in order to get better information than that of what Mr. Snowflake ended up getting? I only ask that specifically because of the way that Rachel phrased it of getting ahead in your career. It was a curious way of describing the action of flirting with someone. And if the notion of making Amberlynn pissed off wasn't incentive enough for Emily, the promise of being paid surely was.
I just want to emphasize that at this point, all this tea from Emily is inherently flawed. And we need to start asking more questions about where it's coming from all creators who come into contact with it, not just Rachel and her Discord crew. I feel like I didn't emphasize this enough in my video that I posted about the Discord drama to begin with, but I really feel like anything that comes directly from Emily at this point is worthless. If Emily was saying all of this stuff with the expectation that she was getting paid, what's to say she didn't embellish or lie about things that would make Rachel want to pay her money? What's to say that Emily didn't know that and wasn't embellishing on some stuff to get a little bigger paycheck?
I agree with a point that Zachary Michael makes in one of his videos about the situation, that any information that you get from Emily at this point should be considered worthless. This isn't inherently because what she's saying is all lies, but rather because there's no way to currently verify the validity of most of the anecdotal things that she has said. Emily herself has proven to be cunning and manipulative in her own way. She has been shown to have threatened Amberlynn with leaking information to reaction channels in the past. It is possible that Emily released her text exchange with Amberlynn to gain trust and credibility before attempting to further humiliate Amberlynn with information that was already widely spread within the community that we just assumed to be true because it came from another ex. Zachary Michael points out that Emily could have just been embellishing details or even outright lying to make the information more enticing to Rachel in order to be paid more.
Rachel. Also, and I know this is petty, but I make videos to make money, and none of these creators do it for any other reason, I'm sure. And if we compare Charlie's views to mine, I'm doing something right. Hecticana. Yeah, the people in arms about it are either naive or stupid if they think we don't make videos for money. Rachel. If you offered them the amount of money I've made off of this, they would all do way worse things than offer someone money and they change their mind. Also, they're mainly all mad because she's a feeder, and that stopped looking as likely as I thought. So, hilarious how they think they know everything. Jay. Let them think what they'd like. Spend your evenings sipping from bottles of toddy bowl surrounded by people who care about you. As you say, plenty of people have done less ethical things than pay a source in the pursuit of money. Those who haven't, it's often for the lack of opportunity to rather than morality. I like snowflake method, Rachel. Jawbone. Genuinely considering reaching out to Emily, that kind of money would change my life. Rachel. I feel like if people knew, they would be a lot more understanding. Haha. Jay. I doubt it. I think those with the hump just like to have the hump. Rachel. They will always. When they see the donation, that video made 3.6K so far. So I will be forced to out myself. Haha. Jawbone. By the way, I'm not saying you were writing Emily's clit, Rachel. I'm just taking the piss out of what Amber said. Rachel. I simp for money, literally. Did people think I was going to get the best tea in Gorlworld for months and not have to get a bit muddy? Haha. Jawbone. Rachel, I'm not suggesting you watch it as it's pointless, but Jordy has said that you offering to pay in exchange for tea is not a big deal and isn't sure what the fuss is about. So that should clear the air a bit for you. Fair play to him. Rachel. Love that from Jordy. Jawbone. So you're not really being publicly hanged, drawn, and quartered, diva. Rest easy. Rachel. If Jordy says it's all right, then I'm off the hook. Teehee. I'll wipe my tears with banknotes.
In the Discord leaks, it's seen that Rachel says that she simps for money and said that she's gotten the best tea in Girl World in months, even if she had to get a bit muddy to do so. This was a part of a bigger conversation with her saying how surprised the community of Girl World would be to see how much one of her videos had earned, adding on to another screenshot of her responding to knowing about people being unhappy with her behavior towards Emily as wiping her tears with banknotes. It's obvious that Rachel values money to an extent that she is willing to compromise ethical lines in order to get it. And it is through this cross from being just a bewildered bystander to now becoming active instigators in what is happening in the lives of Amberlynn and Emily that's caused some viewers of Girl World to realize that there's been kind of an unhealthy shift within the mindset of some reaction creators who want to now pretend to be investigative journalists and dig up too deep of personal information on the people that they react to. It's not lost on me or other viewers of this situation, the double standards that Rachel displayed in one response to all of this, because it seems to me that she's more upset with these Discord messages being leaked than she is with being scolded for her tactics of gathering information, or even how she was shit-talking other creators.
That Discord was a place where we chatted like mates. I'm sure you've all got mates. You run your mouth with your mates in a way that you wouldn't do on your public YouTube channel, but of course it got out and everything that you guys have seen has been seen.
She says at one point for a screenshot where she discusses doing something in her personal life, how she would be very upset if anybody was passing the screenshot around and didn't censor that activity that she would go do in her spare time, citing that they would be losers if they didn't. I didn't realize till I watched Charlie Gold's video on this subject, but why would you send that kind of personal details to Emily if you didn't want the general community to know about it? Now that you guys have had this falling out over the money scandal and you admitting that you don't want that information spreading around, what's stopping Emily from just putting it out there anyway, just to piss you off? Rachel wasn't the only one caught in the crossfires for these Discord leaks, with some of the more notable names of the server also getting hit with a loss of subscribers, like Hecticana and Jawbone.
So let's start with Rachel. Now, Rachel has still been consistently losing viewers, not in the numbers that she was in the beginning, but there's absolutely still a downward trend, and she is now under 52,000 subscribers. Now, these numbers were taken yesterday at date of recording, and what I've done is I've taken their peak, I've taken how much they've lost, where they're at now, and then the percentage lost, and it's quite interesting to see how people were hit. So Rachel peaked at the end of October at 65.5 1,000 subscribers. And that was after the initial expose she did, but before we found out that she was paying Emily. So that at the moment is a loss of 13.6 thousand subscribers. That is a big hit. That is a loss of almost 21%, 20.7% of her subscribers. Moving on to Hector Carter. Now, Hector Carter has a little asterisk beside his name because it does seem that although Hector Carter was involved in this Discord and was involved in the screenshots, he seems to have gotten himself caught up in his own separate drama surrounding that DoorDash girl. I don't really want to get into that one. So it's difficult for me to see, are his numbers dropping because of his involvement with the Rachel stuff, or are they dropping because of his audience not approving of the way that he handled the DoorDash girl story? But nevertheless, he peaked at the end of October at 25.2 thousand subscribers. He's lost to date 4.4 thousand, which is a total loss of 17.5% of his viewers. He is also still dropping by the day, and there's a little bit extra with him that I'll get into when I do his section. Okay, getting into the smaller channels, Studio Deets. Now, I am not clear on pronouns for this channel. I'm going to use they them pronouns. Let me know if you know. I can do that if I ever talk about them again. So Studio Deets peaked at 9.9 thousand subscribers, which is so ridiculously close to a 10k milestone that it's a little sad, but I will highlight that this is absolutely due to their own actions, naivete, whatever you want to call it. We're going to get into it. They've lost a total of 2.1 thousand subscribers, which is 21.2% of their audience. And that is the biggest hit out of all of them. And once we go through their section, you're absolutely going to see why the audience has responded this way. They are also still continuing to lose numbers by the day. And finally, Jawbone, the smallest channel, but also the least from a percentage-wise hit in regards to viewer loss, also the least apologetic.
But instead of attempting to take any sort of healthy criticism for their behavior, they all seem to be more upset with their private conversations being leaked to the Gorlworld community at large, which is probably part and due to them shit-talking other creators. It might be a bit rude to say this, I think, but it's kind of a taste of your own medicine situation to me, because you have been making thousands of dollars off of using text messages pertaining to someone's personal life without at least one party's consent, information you obtain through manipulating someone in more than one way. As many other people have pointed out, when you get a group of people together in a Discord server who all make money off of gossiping and exposing drama about other people, you shouldn't really expect that your own personal business won't get out some way, somehow, especially when you were shit-talking other creators within the server. Despite the backlash a lot of these creators had received about using information they gathered through manipulative means, they proceeded to continue making content about said information. As unfortunate as it is, the information is just now out there for the world to see, so there isn't much to do to avoid having content made about it, especially if you don't have, like, the funds to start seeking any kind of legal action against these creators, if there's even any legal action to take against them. When it comes to the situation involving the manipulation and paying people off for information, some people are of the opinion that if these creators were just honest about what they were doing at the start, they probably wouldn't have faced the initial backlash that they did, especially Rachel. Most of these creators don't seem to understand that a lot of the anger towards them is due to people feeling misled about the nature of how Rachel was obtaining the information that she did. This community values transparency and honesty, which is why they are in the market of watching people call out the lies that Amberlynn and other people of Gorlworld tell. While a lot of people will claim they are upset over the manipulation that occurred to get this information, a lot more people are upset about the hypocrisy involved in the nitpicking and judgmental behavior that they exhibited towards Amberlynn while conducting themselves like teenage gossips behind the scenes. I'm of the belief that if they weren't actively shit-talking other creators, the Discord server shenanigans probably would have never been leaked. I'm not saying that Amberlynn is like above criticism. She's done a lot over the years that is deeply problematic, and she still treats those around her fairly badly. But we should be criticizing her public facing behavior instead of trying to pay off people in her life to get more egregious information about her, especially information that is being used as a means to just humiliate her. I think that if Emily truly just wanted to clear her name of any accusations that Amberlynn was trying to lobby against her, she should have just posted the screenshots herself. But since she did have that agreement with Rachel over all of this, I think that she has every right to be upset over Rachel breaking their deal.
Don't share that part though. This is between us.
I would say that I feel bad for the voice notes that Emily said not to use were being passed around, but honestly, you wouldn't be sending these kind of voice notes without the expectation that someone was going to post them, regardless of if you said keep this between us or whatever. I think this is just a plausible deniability thing when Amberlynn came around to be mad at her for all of this. Basically, I think the ending thoughts here should be something along the lines of no one involved in this situation is a great or good person. We all have our flaws. We can only hope that some of them will learn from this, although I don't think that lesson is going to settle in with this kind of scandal if some of the responses I've seen for these creators are any indication. I think this entire video was just a lot of rambling, but I hope I got my thoughts through enough. Leave a comment if you want some more Gorlworld content from me in the future. I have plans for a few videos, but want to kind of like gauge everybody's interest, you know? I don't want to become a reaction channel by any means, but I'm open to discussing some more like broader topics and other stuff, like other scandals and things like that. I appreciate everybody sticking through all of the long pauses in my upload schedule. You guys are absolutely the best. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe for more. This video, like all of my content, is brought to you by Patreon. So thank you so much to Ippo, Alec, Chrome, Mel, and Zomboy for subscribing. Also, thank you to the channel member, Megan May. That's all for now. This is Finn, signing off. Until next time.
I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. 'Cause I can't move on till I let go.